In any other industry, we're not getting hired, we're not getting promoted, we're not starting our own businesses or allowing them to be, franchises. Like, they continue to keep us down. They pick and choose where we can be successful at.
I think that what people, if we were going to talk about also a specific group of people or white people, is that no matter what you achieve, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much education you have, there could be a moment where you have an interaction with a police officer or a person and you're reduced to just being Black or nigger. And that's the fundamental issue. It's not a lot of sentences. It's like, can I not be judged for my skin? Can I not be mistreated because I have this skin? Can I not be targeted because I have that skin? I think that is the disconnect. And I think that's why All Lives Matter immediately says everybody matters. It's like, yo, it's basic. This is the reason why people have a problem with me. And that's not fair and it's not right. And all it would honestly take is for everyone to say, you're right. That's true. And then for us to move on.
I want to tag on that just a little bit. Even though, right now, the focus is, Black people and white people, there's such a disconnect and just a broken system in general. Like, this race issue is just like the tip of the iceberg of what is wrong, not only in this country, but in this world due to the Eurocentric mindset. So if you think about it, we're all, as humans, we're all different for a reason. Like, we all come from different areas that we're great at something. Like, for instance, India, they have a specific something that they're really good at with textiles. If you go to Asia or Japan in particular, they're very good at precision, they're very good at movement, very good at copying certain things. Same thing with Korea or something like that. And you go to a different country, there's something else that they're great at. When it comes to the Eurocentric or white man mindset, the strong point of them isn't a particular thing that is tangible like a lot of us ethnicities have. Like, for instance, Black people, we have entertainment and certain things that we're great at. We're great athletes. We have a specific muscle tone. We have a specific color to our skin. But again, going back to the Eurocentric mindset and the Eurocentric standpoint, their strength relies in their ability to define. It's not...
and to curate.
Exactly, to define, curate, colonize, dissimulate, like, that's where their strength is. So that is where the problem is right there. That's where we kind of need to draw the focus and get people to see, like, wait, way back when, this mindset already started fucked up. So it's way beyond the oppression of just Black people. Yes, we're seeing the oppression of Black people and us being just slaughtered like goats every day, but the picture is way larger than that. So if we can get past this outpour and actual visualization of things via social media, just because you're seeing the Black people die, there is so much more to be done to actually make this stay in place and make us an equal as all people.
Well, I think that people are I mean, it's a fight against white supremacy, right? Mm-hmm. So whether we're talking about decolonizing educational spaces or simply asking for human rights, white supremacy can be seen in oppression. The oppression of white supremacy can be seen in several communities. Our Latin brothers and sisters were just locked in cages and are still being locked in cages. And there were ICE raids yesterday during the protests. So that oppression isn't exclusive to Black men or Black women, and we recognize that it is a system of white supremacy that we are challenging. And I think the focus is, how do we decolonize this space, right? How do we break down the thought that this Eurocentric or the European model of life is right, and that or even beautiful, or even the thing that should be. And I think a lot of that lies in creating our own spaces, I think one of the challenges, again, to white supremacy is we had our own spaces. If you look at the Greenwood district of Tulsa, Oklahoma, of which today is the 99th anniversary of its destruction. And so, you know, I think we have to look at how we create protective forces for our communities and how we exercise our Second Amendment rights and our right to bear arms to protect ourselves. Because what we know is that when we create our own spaces, they are often attacked. And so we have to be vigilant in protecting them. And we have to, as we talk about building and creating our own, much like the work that you all do, how you have created your own lanes, we have to do that in business and education and other places. And then we have to have accountability and protection. So that, you know, I think we're all in agreement about kind of the way forward is becoming insular and making sure that our dollars are circulating amongst each other.
Great points. It's so layered. It's like where to start.
No, there's so much.
It is so much. And
I'm wondering, you know, when are we going to start boycotting? You know, protesting and rioting. I'm not going to say that there isn't a space for it. I think there is, and I think it's all necessary at this point. But getting back to making spaces for ourselves, you know, when they did the boycott for civil rights, when they stopped taking the public buses, they set up transportation within the communities to make sure that everyone could still get to work, make sure the kids could still get to school. They set up food pantries. They did all these things. You know, Black Panthers were major in those specific things. And, you know, that was torn down. Do you guys think that another boycott is necessary? My personal opinion is that it is. I think that we need to see another rise of the Black Panther Party. What do you guys think about that?
I'll be the first to say I feel like a boycott would be a little bit more strategic than the protest. Not saying that neither one is great. I do think that that's painting a better message for us to say, yo, we are making a space of our own. We are supporting Black businesses. Black business owners are being honest. They are shipping their products when they say they are. We are making it happen. So I would have to say, yeah, I think boycotting is a little bit more beneficial, and I would probably support more boycotting events than me going and putting myself in harm's danger, tearing out the windows at Melrose. That's just my privilege, though, you know?
Speaking of, I received an invite to this Blackout Day 2020. Have you guys got that on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
July 7th? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but it has to be sustained. I think more, you know, I know that we talk about boycotting, but I think we have to make the focus. Like, what are the Black businesses? Where will you get your toothpaste? Where will you get your, like, you know, there are lists and lifting up that work of Black entrepreneurs. And so we need to compile those lists and distribute those lists of resources. And like, I say this wearing Nike shorts and Nike shoes, but I need to buy some Big Ballers. And Big Baller, they can't be $400, but you know, we have to find the shoes. I have to divest from these companies. And I think that's part of it. In addition to boycotting, divest your money, pull your money out of those places that support police forces, pull your money out of those places that support the oppression, and put your money in your community. Because as you put your money in your community, those businesses are going to do an about face, right? We saw that with South Africa, and as companies divested and pushed for the divestment of those invested in supporting South Africa, we saw apartheid end, and we saw a global stance against the brutality that was happening in South Africa during the late 80s, or much of the 70s, 80s, and ending in the 90s. So we can do it. It's possible. We have a model. The Black Panthers have a framework that we can adopt that focuses on educating ourselves and feeding our community and meeting the basic needs of our people. And then, you know, lifting up the work of scholars like J. Luke Wood and Frank Harris, and even at the USC Race and Equity Center, Sean Harper and his team, or Tyrone Howard at UCLA. So in LA, we are rich with Black scholars, or Kimberly Crenshaw's work on intersectionality and understanding how it all ties together. And so there are a number of of Black folks doing work around the country, or even in the political space with Stephanie Brown James and Quentin James and the Collective PAC, and the money that they're spending on training and teaching Black people how to become advocates and raising their voice. Or people like Charmi and Kinder at Global Citizen. So I think we have folks in place. It's now like, how do you direct those dollars, and will you, and I say this to myself too, like, will I stop spending my money at Nike and go support this other brand that is a growing brand that's owned by a Black person? So.
Nike.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to interject, but I used to have a club that was, catered to the urban community, and it was really hard to get, Black people to support. It's like Black people don't want to go, party in the hood. Black people want to go party in West Hollywood, So it's like you said, we can have all these Black, businesses and everything like that, but we have to support them. Like, now is not the time to do nothing. Like, whatever you have to do to figure out, how you can make an impact in your community, and stand against racism and uplift your our community, you have to do it. Like, we have to figure it out, because even with the George Floyd situation, if one person, or if all those people who watched and filmed, if they would have just jumped jumped the police officers or anything, maybe something else would have happened. But it's been shown that doing nothing, yields no results. So we have to do something.
Right.
How do you guys feel about new brands that have come out? I was told, I didn't personally see, that Nike came out with something that said, for once, don't do it. I know Reebok did something, and a couple other brands. How do you feel about these brands that we know have been questionable in the past, that are speaking, kind of doing that about face, so to speak? Like, how do you feel about that? I know you specifically, Will, we're talking about, am I going to continue to do this? But where is the fine line? Like, how do you guys feel about that? Have you guys been seeing these things yourself? Do you think they're genuine, or do you think it's a marketing thing?
Yeah, I think we have to make
definitely a marketing thing.
Like,
Oh, it's always a marketing thing. It's all about the money,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
They don't care about us.
they steal from the mom and pop shops, the people who are originals making, their own, even like Fashion Nova. Like, they steal so many ideas from different companies, even though that's the way of the industry. Like, I make a conscious decision to wear clothes from, Black designers. Like, it's just a conscious decision that we all have to make. And, it's important at this time. Whatever you can do to just, support your people is important.
And that's why I said we have to divest that dollar, because I have to support it. It can't just be that they created a nice commercial, and big ups to Reebok and big ups to Nike for making those statements. And even Bratz came out with a really strong statement, but that's a marketing ploy. And so if I'm not moving my dollars to the Black community, we don't grow. And I think that's what it's about, is strengthening our community by just, making the commitment. So, part of my pledge is to, I've already given to places like the Minneapolis Bail Fund to support, but also just starting to support brands and more clothing, and even in just soap or toothpaste, or, the things that I use more regularly besides that. Because we have people like Kirby Jean Raymond, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but with Pyre Moss and who are doing great things. So that's where my money has to go, instead of, losing on sneakers every time a hot sneaker drops. I could just focus on the brands that are owned by my people.
And I
Do
feel
we
like
is there some type of how can I say, index or resource that people can easily access that has a lot of Black brands that you could convert, especially like your necessities, like your toothpaste, your paper towels, your toilet paper? Like, is there somewhere that we could go to change out our next round of necessities?
I don't think there is. I haven't seen one, but I would love to say, let's, all of us that are doing this right now, let's come together and let's create that. It's nothing to throw up a web page on the HausHillmedia.com web website and get those things going. Let's put our heads together, because Trey, you don't know all the things, I don't know all the things, but if we come together, we can do that, and let's make this an ever-growing list. And I think that's part of the big issue, is a lot of us just simply aren't aware. We don't know.
Now, and thanks for bringing that back up, Trey, and Lashane as well. A couple things before we part. We are, myself as well as Stephanie, we are Illinois residents from Chicago. We did mention the man on the horse earlier. Stephanie, what are your thoughts? I chuckled behind that because I did see the video of the man who stole the police horse, and there's a chuckle for me. But what is your thoughts, Stephanie? We are Illinois residents, so I see it I've seen it coming, but yeah.
Doesn't surprise me. I mean, we need some type of comic humor. That's what I love about us. You know, we would do something completely wild, like, because I've been seeing him on this horse for weeks now, so it's just not a surprise. But I loved it. But yeah, things are getting wild in Chicago right now. I just saw on Facebook they were looting the funeral homes, and now grocery stores are funeral homes.
Things are getting crazy at this point.
Right.
Funeral. In the funeral home,
they're boarding up all the grocery stores. They boarded up all the grocery stores. Targets, Walmarts, Jewels, all that stuff is boarded up in Chicago. It's
unfortunate because, you know, thinking of the area that I grew up in the inner city before I moved to the south suburbs, they can't afford to have grocery stores boarded up. Now we talk about when people are starting to go into homes because they're getting desperate at this point because of the stuff that, you know, they technically caused or didn't cause. You know, so I feel like it is unfortunate. I'll share a story with about a quick story from my friend. He works in retail in Hollywood, expected to open up this week after the whole Corona situation. And he sent pictures of his store just vandalized. They were scheduled to open up this Wednesday. So, I mean, you know, when is enough of the protesting? I mean, I don't know. I can't say when enough is enough. The people have had it. Time is up. We all choose our ways to show, you know, our support and protest and different things. But now we're messing with people's personal property and money and things that they've worked years to build and stuff. And we're tearing down what we're trying to build. And after this is all over, people have to look forward to nothing because half of the workforce is laid off from the coronavirus. Right. People are still looking for work. And now the people who did have jobs at the smaller boutiques and little corner stores, they shut out of work too. So now people have no choice but to get desperate and to start, hopefully not, but I can foresee going to people's homes and shit. My thought, you know?
But again, we kind of have to take the we out of it because it ain't always us. It's a lot of them, like making it look like us. You gonna come on, slide in a wolf in sheep's clothing, go ahead and bang some shit out, knock out some windows, and then give it a shot. And then now that we run behind because we've seen it's already been open. Like they're trying it. They are really trying.
I saw a video of a police officer actually paying very young adolescent boys to go and break windows. So
I saw. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, so I was going to say there's so much happening. I know everybody's kind of touched on it, how they're infiltrating what we're trying to do. But I said this to a Hispanic colleague of mine, and I'm not saying it's right that people are having to suffer by losing their business or, you know, what have you. But until everyone comes together to make the sacrifice, because we're sacrificing our brothers, our fathers, our sisters every day. And then they come up with oh, I was afraid for my life. Oh, you get third degree. As a Black person, I don't care. I would hope as a business owner that I have insurance. Yes, it is inconvenient, but don't you think all these funerals are inconvenient?
Right.
So that's my thing, is we can only get so frustrated at that.
Yeah, I want to tap to what was that I know as I'm it's us. Like, let's not pull away from the fact that there are people like, unlike our on this panel, but we have the consciousness or have the experience to say, I've been through this, I've been through a riot, or no, I don't want to, my pregnant wife, I'm not taking her down there to protest, you know, and it's peaceful. And then all of a sudden people are lighting fireworks. So at the same time, appreciate everybody that involved. But when you're looking at people, Black people on Melrose, jumping in and out of stores, this is not like, oh yeah, let's blame it on the white guy for paying a couple Black people to do it and pretend like none of those Black people, whether it's from systematic oppression or just their mindset, where they are in life, the fact that Crenshaw and Slauson is a hop, skipping away, jump away from the Beverly Center. And some of those people are like, no, I haven't felt the luxuries of Sherman Oaks. So the Black Sherman Oaks can kick back, but I'm going to go up here and do what I need to do and maybe jump into one of these stores or get some shoes that I can sell maybe next week or whenever I can sell them. So I think accountability is definitely, we got to keep it at the forefront, because as much as we're saying, yes, let's buy with these Black companies, I follow too many Black business sites that post Black toothpaste owners, Black laundry detergent creators, Black hair businesses, Black clothing companies, and those companies are still struggling. And so does it take more people to die for us to say, oh yeah, okay, I'll support my Black companies now because I don't want to go support Nike and it's all a marketing ploy? Or are we strong enough really at this point and connected enough to take on that Black Panther stance? Are we able to communicate with each other and respect each other enough from Sherman Oaks to Santa Clara, Illinois? Like, are we really do that work and push past what we've already been through? Because Nike is Nike. And as much as we're not going to support it now, there's the hood that's like, I don't care. And we have to break that barrier so that we can genuinely say, yes, we are all on one accord. Because until we do that, we're just going to be, you know, the house niggas versus the field niggas having different types of conversations where people in Compton are not talking about buying from Black businesses as much as they are looting. You know what I mean? We have to meet somewhere and understand that not everybody is a hierarchy or a nurse.
Well, I think that conversation starts here, like where, you know, a lot of Black people have assimilated. I live in Sherman Oaks. I'm one of those people. So it's like, you know, there's something that will unify us. A moment like this is like, doesn't matter where you live or where you're from and how much money you have, that we all could be treated the same. And so then it becomes, well, how do we feel? But it's still a different message with each group. We are not the same. A lot of us have different experiences. And so what's the thing that unifies us? What's our common goal? But we have individual goals in general because we're just different types of people. It's just, it doesn't make sense to say that all Black people are the same. And they should understand that, because they couldn't fathom someone saying all white people are the same, all Mexican people are the same, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it comes down to what, you know, crafting a message for that group, crafting a message for this group, crafting a message for this group, coming together and saying, well, these are our individual goals. If you want to meet here, if this is something that means something to you, then we'll be over here.
That's a great
I have an idea.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, we can start by supporting Black-owned businesses, because I agree, you know, not everyone is thinking about down in Compton, thinking about buying Black-owned. We can start it building up our Black-owned businesses and putting our businesses in their neighborhood so that they don't have a choice but to buy Black-owned. Because right now, all these big corporations are profiting off of convenience. It's so convenient to go to Target, Walgreens, because it's right there. You can just walk to the store. But if we start building us up and then putting them in those neighborhoods, they don't have a choice. So it starts with us, and then we'll bring it to them.
And actually, now is the time. Like, now that the playing field is kind of level due to Corona, this is the time to buy some property. This is the time to open a business. This is the time to reach for funds, because there's a bunch of loan forgiveness happening. Probably a loan that you will ask for right now will fall under loan forgiveness, and you won't ever have to pay that back. Like, I have a friend that asked for a business loan. She got disapproved for it. But before that happened, they sent her money. And they sent her a letter saying, I'm sorry, we didn't approve you, but we hope your advance will help you have a lovely life. So the This is a wake-up call for all of us. So for you, Lashane, I would love if you could put together some type of flyer for us to all post on our social media platform, asking people, do you have a Black-owned business? What do you sell? Do you have a website? Like, we can all start compiling from all of our platforms to start giving more of our people firepower. That's just a start. Like, it's not going to change the world, but that is where we can start right now, where I feel something is tangible.
Great.
Also, I agree with that. Also, Will dropped a little tidbit for us. There's actually an app already called Official Black Wall Street, where they have a lot of this as well. So I didn't know about that. So thank you for sharing that. That's super important. And so I will still take your advice, Trey, and start pulling that information, because I'm sure everybody's not on there, because this is the first time I'm hearing about that.
I've never heard about it, and I've been in business for 20 years.
Dang, that's amazing to hear.
Yeah.
I've heard about it, but I've never like delved into it.
Right. So we've opened up that conversation. We do have a caller calling in from Los Angeles. And caller, are you there? Caller. Okay. Welcome to the Privilege Show. And what do you have for us?
Hi. I think I see someone talking already.
I'm sorry. What? Go ahead.
I think there's somebody talking. I don't know if they can hear me.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh.
Are you?
Hi. Yes, I'm sorry. I look like I'm a little delayed. Anyway, hi, panel. You guys are doing such an awesome job. I'm enjoying listening to this. And I just wanted to address one thing, possibly to Cecily. Under this, during this protesting that's going on, and all of, I see this as being a lot of the younger generation and millennium. I come from the old generation when we had Martin Luther King and President Kennedy that were during that time. And during the time that we are now, what you guys are under now, there are no leaders that you have that the millennium that can follow. So who would you guys, Cecily or to the panel, think would be a good folk or someone that would stand out to help lead the new millennium and the younger generation? This is what I think we really need now, is to pull this protesting together, have a voice that everyone can relate to. So coming from you, the new millennium, who do you think would be a good representation of that?
It has to be all of us. One person can't do it.
I really honestly think that.
I mean, as far as a strong voice like the
Beyonce? Just kidding.
Or because if you stepped out there, do you think that anyone is just going to stop and listen? Like the Jay-Z's or the Beyoncé's or someone in your peer group that you guys really relate to that can touch and reach out to the voices of the young millennium.
But I think
the question is, and thank you for calling in, caller. The question is who, and we talked about this maybe briefly a few episodes ago. Who is the like she said, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X? We don't have that. You know, who is that? You know, we don't have that. We all are now talking about breaking the barriers through these conversations. But who is some of you guys as leaders of the culture, or who would be the one to be like, yo, is it T.I.? Let's get this message across about boycotting. Is it Jay-Z? Is it the Carters? You know, who is the main face right now to be like, yo, let's get it done? Is it Colin Kaepernick again? I mean,
I think it's important to recognize that they murder all of our leaders. They did Nipsey. Nipsey was assassinated.
We can't do it by ourselves. We have to do it united.
We have to do it united. I agree.
But I mean, I think, Lashane, I think you're bringing up a very strong point in that she talked about Dr. King. She talked about John F. Kennedy, two men who were assassinated. We talk about Malcolm X. We talk about Nipsey, Tupac. When you start getting into, or even as you look at a lot of the organizers in Ferguson have mysteriously died over the last 2 years. but there are so many people across this country, and you know, people like Aja Taylor in DC, Mir Harris, who Mir is probably is on the front lines of these protests in LA. Mir's a music industry executive, but also just always pushing for the culture. Or Kenya Parham, who's here in LA, as well as Jameer Burley, who's in New York, and Channa Jackson, and then Tiffany Dina Lofton, who's the director of the Youth and College Division for NAACP.
You just dropped. Now that's name dropping. That's the name dropping that we need to.
I think Mike Davis too, he's an assembly member, is also a person that advocates for our community. I think there's a lot of names. I think that the point of, even when someone said all of us, and I love that, because while we can lean on some people to lead the fight for us, we all have the ability to be leaders in our own communities and in our own lives. We honestly all have all the tools to create messaging that supports our causes. And I think that's the beauty of social media. I know social media is really here to track us and to figure out where we're going and what we're buying. Let's be real. But we can use this content to create messages for our communities. And so I don't look at it as like, this person's my leader, this person's my leader. I peruse everything. I'm abstracting stuff from all over the place. You know what I mean? Even for people that don't look like me.
And that's a great point, Seth. With that being said, do you feel like because you're not protesting that you're not doing enough, or what you're saying, if I hear you correctly, that you are doing enough by doing what you're doing in your mediums, in your lane? You're in your lane and you're creating.
I don't think there's ever enough to do. I don't think there's ever enough to do. I was invited by several people to go to a peaceful protest, but knowing how history works, peaceful protests are opportunities for things to become unpeaceful. So I decided to stay here with my daughter and my grandson. But I definitely went down Sean King's list of what to do and how to respond. I'll definitely give you that. And beyond that, I have a colleague of mine that wrote a really insightful article about other things that we can do to not only help in like a direct action, but what we can do for the future, and how to vote, and how to lend yourself to be a hand to other causes and things like that. For people that feel like, I need to be doing something, not just right now, but constantly. Like, this is something that we have to work on. It's not just this week or this weekend because we're being hit with all of these images, but it's definitely, it's a part of our daily walk. It's a part of our pathology to fight this, because especially if any of you guys are parents or thinking about leaving this world to your children, that you should be tasked to try to make this world a better place for your children.
No, and I agree with you on that. I'm going to share with you guys before we go and wrap up the social media attack that I was speaking of earlier. Mind you, me and this person, we've been friends through the dance community for years. So my post was, and I've since then been blocked. So my initial post was, I agree, writing is not the way, time is up either way, period. The person then came, and I had to screenshot this just so we could talk about this. The person said, it's not, ? Okay, so let them kill us even though we tried peaceful protests, ? Got it. So I responded back with the picture of Martin Luther, and at the top, Coretta saying, this is a protest, and the bottom one saying, this is a crime of the looting. So posted that. She came back and said, we tried that shit already, anything else? I laughed at that. She said, and then killing us isn't a crime, ? You forgot Martin was assassinated too, ? Okay. I said, don't be upset. I'm just saying, if that's the case, why are you not at the local Target tearing it down? Racism ain't just in Minnesota, but you already know this. She said, I'm protesting Sunday, thank you very much. And if I could be in Minnesota right now, I could. What are you doing? I said, I'm minding my business and keeping the people informed through various facets of my Black enterprise, one of which is Made for the People, the Privilege Show. Full episodes for the people can be found here. I dropped the link to even possibly today's episode. She still tunes into the show. So anyway, I said, let me know when you get a chance to check it out, my Black sister, maybe on the way to the protest, So this becomes to get heated. She begins to, I usually don't subscribe to this type of shit, but I subscribed. And so my thought is, when we're talking about this, and I am getting a little passionate about it because that passion did come back just a bit. We show our way of protesting in our own ways. I don't want to be attacked because I'm not at the local Target or I'm not on Melrose next to your sister right now. Let me do me. So when I said minding my business, to just clear that up, minding my business is meaning minding my business for what I feel I can do for the people, for our people, for the culture. I can't, if I wanted to protest, I would be down there tearing up Target right now. Let me also say this, for those people waiting for your local protest, this thing is way bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is way bigger than that. Go protest right now outside your front door if it's that deep for you to protest. Show your ass. Get your own cast and people together and go to your local Trader Joe's. Don't wait for Sunday. That was my point. So to be attacked on a platform that's my thought, my process, and to be told I should be doing something else than what I'm currently already doing, which is having these conversations with Black entrepreneurs, creatives, etc.
Well, there are influencers that are being canceled. My daughter shared something with, I think a guy's name is Desi, and he said something similar to what you said, and he lost 500,000 followers on Twitter. And I mean, as a person who represents a brand, you do separate how you really feel from like what maybe your demographic might be into. And I do feel for you younger guys, because I think that a lot of the millennials kind of have a feeling of this is what should be done and this is how we do it. And they don't want to be told anything else.
Well, I think that specifically about that is people keep telling people how to protest, right? And and Desi Banks specifically posted a picture of I think the march right before they got across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, which, as we know, was met with state-sponsored violence and people were bludgeoned and beat almost to death. And Kaepernick peacefully protested and then was banned from the NFL. And so I think that's the anger with people like Desi Banks. We did that. It didn't work. And so now it's turning into this, and young people are frustrated. So, I think when you have so many people, millions of people across the country that are frustrated, and to be told, well, you're being frustrated in the wrong way, that's why people are responding vitriolically. But I think as we all know, that we need all of it. We need the spectrum of protest, and whether you are setting something on fire or you are hosting conversations and curating spaces where people can be thought leaders, we need all of it, because all of it contributes to the change. I think we just need to be careful at how we judge people for how they express frustration. And I think that's where people are saying, nah, bro, like you can't do that.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it's definitely a crime. Stealing, looting, setting things on fire. Yeah, definitely. We aren't killing people. We aren't seeking revenge. We aren't lynching, white people. We aren't lynching cops. We're protesting in our own way. My protest could be not shopping here, but someone else's protest could be getting in someone else's faces. But we need it all, because we need to get that message across that enough is enough. You can't bully us anymore.
Yeah, like at this point, my fucks have gone out the window, because literally, we're being told how to protest and to do it peacefully. Are we telling y'all how to kill us? Like, we tell you how to kill us. I'm like, is there rubric there? Like, what the fuck? Like, how are you telling us what not to do even? Like, what? Oh my God. So did you guys see what's going on in Flint? The police actually stood with the people. Like, a man dropped his baton, he dropped his weapon. He's like, no, we're marching with these people. Because they know it's right. Like, when is the rest of the world gonna catch on? Like, when is LA gonna catch on and stop being so prideful? And so, like when is everyone going to catch on and understand that shit is fucked up?
Right.
That's all. Like, people just need to get with it.
I think it's interesting that they continue to push this message, like, not all police are bigots, not all police are racist, not all police are murderers, but everyone who protests is a thug.
Right.
Everyone who protests is a looter.
Right.
When you loot, you shoot. You've just already given them a license to kill on top of the license they already have to kill, because we already know how the sheriffs were even formed.
Right. Now, if we were met how the people in Flint, Michigan were met by the police, there wouldn't be any looting. There wouldn't be all this bullshit and violence. There wouldn't shit wouldn't be on fire. Police cars being set on fire. Like, if we're met with the right response, let's just be met with the right response. Like, we're trying our best to meet people with the correct response. And it's not our job to do that when we're the ones who are being oppressed. Like, we can't keep being our job to fix shit. Like, y'all need to step the fuck in and see that it's your fault. Fix it. Stand with us. That's all. Like, we don't need to fight. There's no need to fight. There's been enough death. Enough.
Right. Instead of trampling us with horses and driving their shop into the crowd and
blinding people with rubber bullets to the face.
Bruh.
Multiple people.
One of my friends, like a close friend, got hit with a rubber bullet. Like, I was like, what? And this wasn't somebody that was like a crazy person, like, but they were on the front lines, being calm, being, you know, just there, like, I'm allowed to stand here. And they had the right to just shoot us.
And spray.
We're supposed to be peaceful.
Well, because I think it boils down
pulling things down and spraying people in the face.
I think it boils down to the fact that we don't really have the right to protest. Is that not what they're telling us?
Right.
We don't have the right to live. We don't have the right to protest. We don't have the right to yell. You can literally be arrested for being.
And if you don't like any of it, you can get out the country.
You can go back to the country in which you don't even know where you're from because we erased all of your history.
Exactly. You know what's interesting is I come from a very interesting upbringing because, you know, I have both my mom and my dad. I came from like the American dream kind of household. And in our neighborhood, the police officers were part of the community. Like, we knew their names. We could speak to them. Like, they actually kept us safe. And then when I moved out here to California, I saw a whole different side of things. Like, I wasn't even brought up in a way to feel like Black was less than. Like, I was, it was a whole 360 when I moved to Los Angeles. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, by the way. So like, I came from kind of a privileged situation where, like, I didn't feel the foot on my neck until I moved to California, and like shit was real. Yeah. And it got real quick for no damn reason. Like, for no reason at all. Like, literally driving, doing nothing. A police officer feels they need to speak to you about something. For what? Nothing. It's crazy. And for me to be able to actually see things done the right way, to come here is crazy.
Yes.
Crazy.
I'm from Sacramento, and we have some racism, but I mean, I grew up in an integrated neighborhood, white neighbors, everyone's cool, you know what I mean? And that was my impression too. I was like, wow, I didn't realize it's so segregated and racist here.
Out here doing this. Like, this is a thing.
It feels like, I'm like, this is like the South.
Right. But it's like, this is something that happened years ago that you taught your kids, and they taught their kids, and it's perpetuating from way back when. And it has no validity now, but it's still alive. I don't understand. I just don't understand. I'm not meant to understand it. We're not meant to understand it because we're not on that side. But somebody on their side needs to understand our side and speak to their people. Like, who is their person that we can actually reach?
And another thing is, what's interesting in working in the education system, these Hispanic kids don't know anything about Black people.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Black History Month, we did like a little thing, like name some Black person that you look up to. We named Beyonce, Nipsey Hussle. We went through the whole range. They're like, I don't like any of them. I don't know any of the music. I don't watch any of their shows. They know nothing about us. They don't care anything about us. That was a culture shock right there. I'm like, wow, that kind of hurt my feelings. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, like a friend of mine that happened to be Mexican about 2 weeks ago. He was sitting on my couch, and we had just come from a hike. And just out of the blue, this question came. He said, racial profiling, does that really happen to you? I stopped. I just had to stop and just kind of fix my words for a second, because my immediate knee-jerk response was like, fuck yeah, are you fucking stupid? Yes, it does happen. But like when I sat with it, I was like, he really doesn't know.
Exactly.
Like he really genuinely, with no fault, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. Like they have no idea what it's like to be in our shoes.
True.
Yeah. And we can't blame them, you know. We
Right.
actually have to educate them. A lot of people don't know how to be allies, you know. And there's different ways that you can be allies and not, you know, an ally and not you know, feel like you're, you know, I don't know. But it should no one
I
knows
love
how
that
to
you said that though. Whatever you're saying, I love it.
Yeah.
right. It's like you no one knows how it feels to be Black. Of course, racism exists in other races, but it's like you would think it's no brainer, but it's really not for some people. And instead of getting upset, we really have to educate people on how to support. And the ones that choose not to support, we have to stop supporting them, because if you know, like you said, if you have this platform and you're this influencer and you're steady selling merch and everybody's out protesting, it's like, you know, you're making money off of the hip hop culture, you're making money off of the Black culture, and you can't support, you know, when we have issues. Like we
Right.
have to really disconnect ourselves from people who choose not to support, because it's detrimental.
I want to give a shout out to the people who are supporting in a real way as well. I think a lot of times we are very much so focused on the Black community. And as an instructor who I've taught Black people, they've come to my class and they don't stay in the class. A lot of my students are Hispanic, white, Asian, and they are the ones who are messaging, asking what they can do. So it's not that we're alone. I think that if we do work together and we give some of those Black businesses to our white friends, to our Hispanic, and do what we can on whatever platform, I think really we can get it done, because the world's eyes are wide open right now. And this is the time that instead of, and I love the discussion. I think discussions are definitely necessary, but then where's the action? Really, for ourselves, the same way we've been posting all these hashtags, what do we do after that? And so I just say, let's connect with the people that are supporting. Let's continue to have the conversation, be something as productive as what's happening with the riots, because people are talking and they see what's happening.
Right.
Well,
And it's like, we
I
have to figure out what works.
asked my friends to publicly condone racism. I asked my non-Black friends, like,
There you
hey, I
go.
just need you to publicly say something about it. And thereafter, I created a little, my non-Black friends publicly condemn racism. If you care about a Black person, I encourage you to do the same. And what that did was it framed it in a positive way. Because I see
Exactly.
the Rihanna post and everything, and I was like, I'm not going to shame you into doing this, but for those that are doing it, thank you. And I've seen this thing shared back with me. I've seen this go places. I've seen my friends respond to this in a positive manner where they've said something, not just for me, but I think sometimes when you talk about something as a human being, you're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. You know what I'm saying? So just creating a conversation of like, yeah, I'm not here for this shit. And we all acknowledge that, then we can create something with that energy. That's a start.
Yeah, and I think I want to tag it. Is it Daleth or Daleth?
Daleth, yes.
Daleth. I love what you said. I had to write that down for a thing I have a little bit later. I love the, because people don't know how to be allies. If we can come up with a way that is easily spreadable to people that don't even know what our experience is, they're literally just getting blinded by with these new images of us being slaughtered by goats all of a sudden, and they're just like, oh, this really happens. Now they're they're met with like oh, this really happens, but they don't necessarily know how to put what their new feelings about that are into motion. Like they don't know how to how can I say, they don't know how to tangibly
use their
make
privileges.
change with themselves and with their friend circles. So if we could find a way, like exactly like what Cecily was doing, like if we could find more of those to get those widespread, I feel like we could have a little bit more playing ground, a little bit more conversation, a little bit more firepower to get the message of unity across.
And I think another thing, one of everything you guys have been saying is so on point. One of the things it takes me back to is I remember I've seen a few times saying like, it's not on us to educate you. And I agree with that to a certain extent. If you don't want to know and you don't believe in it, then it's not my job to sit here and convince you. I'm not going to waste my time. But I do think for those who are waking up, to those who are becoming aware, for those who are like, oh shit, this really happens, you know, we should be willing to have that conversation, especially if they're going to be vulnerable enough to come and say, yo, I didn't know that I was contributing to the problem by being so unaware. You know, I had a friend this morning call me and kind of share her experience and how she wasn't aware, but I was thankful that she came to me so I could give her some resources, so that I could say, think about this, look into this, because we've already said the history, the facts are not in the history books. So we can't really blame sometimes them for not completely being aware. And I think that's part of it.
Right. I agree.
Will, you just added a link in the chat for us. Can you tell us what this is about?
So I'm just adding links to anti-racism trainings and resources for people who want to educate themselves about anti-racism. There is a long, and you know, as you talk about people wanting Black people and other people of color to do the labor of having to educate them, it is unfair because there is a long history and there are a lot of resources available that people can just utilize to educate themselves. And then if you have authentic relationship, like I think Cecily, you have authentic relationship with these people and you all are engaged in community. And so that's where that space exists. But I think before people go out and ask Black people, especially right now, to take on the emotional labor of consoling them for their white guilt and dealing with things like white fragility, you got to start to educate yourself. Come to the conversation with some knowledge because it's there. And there's a lot of resources available to you to be able to understand what your Black friends are going through. Because tomorrow's Monday and I got to go back to work and I can't just go say F you to everybody. And so there is an emotional baggage that I will walk into tomorrow with and a performance that I will put on for 8 hours or 10 hours tomorrow. And so asking people to adopt to in addition to that performance, help you get over how you feel because your people are out there, go talk to your folks. You know, educate yourself and then go talk to some white people. If you are white, go talk to some Hispanic people or Latinx people. If you're a member of that Latinx community. And do the small things like, you know, stop, nigga's not your word. So, you know, to a lot of my Black and brown, my brown brothers always had this conversation. You want to take the first step, stop saying nigga. Here's an easy 25-cent way for you to incorporate some anti-racism into your life. Just stop saying nigga. It's not your shit, bro.
That's deep. So are you saying that, excuse me, it's not that deep. I get the concept and I understand it. Are you saying that Blacks shouldn't say that to other Blacks?
No. I'm talking about people who are not Black. So I'm saying how people, people love our stuff. And so when I talk to my Latinx friends, because I've grown up with people in that community, and I said, you cannot use that word. That's not your word. And so if you want a 25-cent contribution to anti-racism, stop saying nigga.
I've been blessed enough to not have any of my African-American friends to never step out of bounds and say that. You know, on a flip note, you know, I do have a lot of living out here in Los Angeles. You do get a lot of Hispanic friends, and I learned from them and they taught me the word paisa. And they was like, you know, you don't want to say that to, so I play around and joke with them and say it, but they was like, you don't want to say that when you're around other Hispanics. If you call them paisa, that's like pretty much saying nigga, how we're talking about it. So I'm like, wow. And, you know, I kind of thought of it lightly, but no, I respect it. I'm not going to say it. You asked me not to say that. That's something you and your culture does and can play with each other with. I got you. Do y'all thing. You know what I'm saying? So I get it.
Man, I didn't know.
Closing.
So I have a friend named Paisa.
Wow.
So
wow. Yeah. That's definitely a wow. I mean, I don't know.
She's black though.
Is that her nickname? That's her nickname.
No, that is a government. Pysa. It's a government name.
Different spelling.
Okay, yeah, thank you. You saved it.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
You saved it. Yo, listen, I have had an amazing time. Yeah, you scared me. You scared me with that one. I was like, okay, what? She's black too? Okay, but y'all, I have had an amazing time. Anybody with any closing last words for the people? The Privilege Show is built on being socially charged, debatable, and dope. We wanted to dive more into these, conversations, these more focused conversations. Although we, I'm sure there's some new music and stuff out. Y'all know where y'all could go find it at. In the meantime, between time, do y'all have any closing thoughts for the people before we go?
I have a resource. A friend of mine, his name is Chris Denson. He wrote an article called Black Lives Matter, 10 Tips to Make Lasting Change. It's an amazing article where he talks about what he calls or refers to as insights, tips, tricks, and resources, and thought starters to do just that. He deals in innovation and comes up with great ideas. And I thought that his ideas, like 10 actual fully fledged ideas on what to do after we've marched, after we rioted, how do we continue and move forward? And so I've included a link as well.
I saw that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I hope everyone stays encouraged. Just, now is not the time to do nothing. Now is not the time to point fingers. Now is the time to really, do some soul searching and what kind of legacy do you want to leave? You know what I'm saying? Now's the time to really analyze what can you do to make a change. And we can all do something like, we all said. So just take the time. You don't have to know what to do. And at the end of the day, it's not our fault. It's just like, no one should have gotten killed the way George Floyd was killed. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that man was murdered. And we just have to really unite. And there's power in numbers. So let's actually do the hard work, not just talk. We have to do actions. The work that people haven't done in a long time. It's our time to actually step up and do it.
Right.
Agreed. Stephanie, any last words?
Yes, be safe. I encourage everyone to at least contact people who are non-Black to educate them what we want from them and what we want them to do to help us out, because they like you said, they don't know how to be an ally. So we have to help them and inform them and educate them about how Black people have always been, how we've always lived. That way they know someone, because they're the ones who are connected. They're the ones who are connected to the lawmakers, and they're connected and they can do stuff as well. So,
yeah.
That's a great point. Lashane, what do you have as closing words?
I would just say, this is a very trying time for Black people, mentally, emotionally. I don't think I've cried this much in my entire existence of my 33 years. So for me, to stay focused and try not to get into the I want blood, which is where I was this morning, I have to think about actionable steps. I have to think about solutions. I have to think about what can I do. So that's something that I'll be focusing on. I would implore others to try to do the same, try to stay out of harm's way, and just stay safe.
Yeah, agree with you. Luckie, any closing words for the people, the privileged people?
I think we all are dealing with a lot right now, and it's easy to get swept up in it. Depression is very real. And so with all the images that we see and having that on our brain, I would say clock off of the news at hour, clock off of social media for a certain amount of time, because as much as we are in the fight, it will stifle us to see people not forward what the news is portraying. So I say clock off, take some time, for yourself, still take a walk the same way we were doing with COVID and everything that's going on, but to take some time for yourself and self-healing and then help the world.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, self-healing, I think we've had some time to really, well, we should, or those who have really thought about that aspect of things during this stay-at-home quarantine thing. I know I've learned a lot about myself. I've picked back up some old hobbies, you know, exciting things, you know, looking forward to a lot of things. Will Syms, closing words.
I love y'all. I love everything about your Blackness. I love everything that you do. I appreciate you creating these spaces, and the work that you all are doing in your respective lanes. If I can help, reach out to me. You know, I think I'm always pushing us to get ready for November and the election. So, you know, let's stay active in that process, but heal yourself. I think love yourself. Make sure that you are doing the things that are going to get you through the days, because self-care is important. And thank you all for the work that you're doing.
Most definitely. Thank you all for, you know, coming through and sharing your light, your creativity. Everybody's light is shining bright. You know, Steph, you in the zone over there. We see your fireplace in the back, you in the zone, but everybody's light is shining bright. Trey, Rich, I know we've been friends for quite a while here, you know, both not from LA. Yeah, creatives and all that good stuff. What do you have to say? I know you shared that a bit, but before we part, what are your closing words for the privileged people?
My closing words are kind of tagging off of Luckie's. Mine is to don't lose your magic. Like, do not lose your magic and love. Like, a lot of us, we are born with a lot of magic and love, and something like this that kind of breaks us for a moment can make us feel heavy, and we can walk through life different only because of this instant. But it is our duties to keep up our magic, even if it's for a day. You have to put on a fake smile. It is not helping anyone to drag. It is not helping anyone to make things heavier than they need to be. Like, this is a time where we need to keep people's minds open, keep people's minds on the target of lightness and lifting everything to be equal. Like, we can't, like, on a regular day basis, look at white people crazy or look at, you know, someone as if they oppressed you. Like, we have to hold on to our magic because we've made it this far for a reason. And we can't feel like we've been defeated or bruised. Like, we have to keep fighting and pushing forward.
That's very, very good. And I thank all of you very beautiful, beautiful people again. This is the Socially Charged, Debatable and Dope Privilege Show. The podcast airs every Monday at 8 a.m. So y'all be sure to check us out. Check out this episode tomorrow, 8 a.m. And the visuals will be out throughout the week, you know, sharing them in different we'll share the full episode with y'all. But we'll also share little points that we captured because we did go over a lot today. So in the meantime, between time, y'all stay blessed. Corona's still real, so y'all make sure y'all got the mask on, you know.
Yeah, mask up, y'all.
Mask up, for real. So in the meantime, yeah, wait, I ain't got one close, but something like that. Yeah, Will is prepared.
We can be real.
I'm about to be
real fashionable.
Right. Oh, look at this. Right, you got a little bedazzled. Oh, is that Mortal Kombat?
I'm feeling very Afrocentric.
I love that. I love it, y'all. In the meantime, between time, y'all stay safe and thanks for tuning in. All right, peace.
Bye, guys.
Bye.